The environmental adaptation hall of the Interstellar Academy was designed to intimidate. Its ceiling rose nearly 100 meters, crystalline panels refracting the light of a nearby blue star into sharp, prismatic shards that glinted off armor, scales, and chitin alike. 200 cadets from 47 species stood in disciplined rows, waiting. At the center dais stood Examiner Kraithval, a Lithraxian whose mineral body formed jagged geometric planes. His species valued efficiency above all else, and his patience for biological inefficiency was famously thin. "Cadets," Kraithval announced, his voice transmitted through implants as a grinding harmonic, "today you face your final terrestrial assessment." A hologram flared to life behind him, rotating landscapes of ice fields, jungles, deserts, and storm-lashed plains. You will be deployed individually into your assigned zones. You are permitted only basic hand tools. No powered devices. No shelters prefabricated. No external assistance. The hologram zoomed in. You will build protection from the environment and survive until dawn. Failure results in immediate disqualification. A ripple of tension passed through the ranks. This test was infamous. It wasn't about combat or intelligence. It was about endurance. Assignments began flashing across cadet visors. Tundra. Forest canopy. Acid marsh. Then one designation drew murmurs. Zone 61, arid basin. Extreme thermal variance. Night temperatures projected at -28 standard units. Kraithval's 4 optic clusters settled on one cadet. Cadet Ethan Hale. Human. Ethan stepped forward. Average height. No visible augmentations. No adaptive skin. Just a simple academy field uniform and a calm expression. You will deploy immediately. Several cadets exchanged looks. Humans were new, barely a generation removed from planetary confinement. They lacked natural insulation. No claws. No carapace. No thermal sacs. A Quelari beside Ethan whispered, "You are unarmored." Ethan shrugged lightly. "Yeah. Guess I'll need a jacket." The Quelari didn't laugh. As the transport gates opened, Kraithval recorded a note into the evaluation log. Human subject. Likely failure. Observe for data only. With a flash of light, Ethan Hale vanished into the desert basin. 12 hours later, the monitoring chamber hummed with quiet efficiency. Dozens of live feeds floated in the air, each displaying a cadet's shelter under evaluation drones. Zone 12, reported observer Lethrix. Subterranean burrow. Structural integrity adequate. Passing. Zone 33, another voice added. Canopy shelter reinforced with resin fibers. Thermal retention marginal but sufficient. Failures came quickly. Collapsed windbreaks. Poor insulation. Exposure injuries. The pass rate stabilized around 68%, acceptable by Academy standards. Next, Kraithval said. Zone 61. Observer Nethra hesitated. Examiner, the drone feed is unclear. Kraithval rotated, crystalline facets grinding softly. Clarify. The structure exceeds shelter parameters. A pause. Explain. Nethra expanded the feed. Silence filled the chamber. Where a crude lean-to should have stood, there was a structure, rectangular, deliberate, and unmistakably engineered. Walls made of compacted earth bricks stood firm, their surfaces smoothed and sealed. A sloped roof angled precisely to deflect wind. From the roof's center rose a chimney. Smoke drifted upward. "That is fire," Nethra whispered. The drone circled. Outside the structure sat a tool rack, stone-headed implements shaped with deliberate symmetry. A mallet. A cutting edge. A digging blade. Nearby, a shallow pit glowed faintly. A kiln. No, Kraithval said. That is not possible within the allotted time. The drone descended. Behind the shelter, something else appeared. Rows. Straight, deliberate rows carved into the soil. Small green shoots pushed upward, fed by a narrow channel diverting water from a rocky outcrop. A cultivated plot, someone said. The drone entered the shelter. Inside, Ethan Hale sat cross-legged near a stone-lined fireplace. A small animal, roasted, turned slowly on a spit. Clay vessels lined the wall, filled with water. Ethan looked up at the drone and raised a hand. Morning, he said cheerfully. I'm good whenever you're ready. No injuries. No distress signals. Kraithval's optic clusters dimmed slightly. This assessment, he said slowly, was to survive the night. Observer Nethra swallowed. It appears, Examiner, the human prepared for weeks. Ethan Hale stood alone in the debrief chamber, hands loosely clasped behind his back. Across from him sat Kraithval and 3 senior faculty members. You constructed fired brick, Kraithval said. How? Ethan tilted his head. Clay soil. High mineral content. Sun-dried the first batch while I worked on fire. You forged tools. Knapped stone, actually. Flakes sharper than steel if you hit the angle right. You diverted water. Gravity does most of the work. A pause. This level of preparation exceeds survival requirements, Kraithval stated. Ethan smiled faintly. Respectfully, sir, survival is just the starting point. The faculty exchanged looks. Explain. Ethan thought for a moment. Where I'm from, my family didn't talk about getting through the night. We talked about winter. About next season. About next year. He gestured unconsciously, as if outlining a structure. My grandfather used to say, if you're going to sleep somewhere, you might as well make it livable. If you're going to stay a day, plan for 2. If you might be stuck, build. You were not instructed to establish permanence, Kraithval said. No, Ethan agreed. But you didn't forbid it. Silence stretched. How long, asked one examiner quietly, could you have remained in Zone 61? Ethan considered. With some improvements. Indefinitely. I'd reinforce the roof, expand the water catchment, maybe domesticate some of the burrow creatures nearby. They're docile. The room went still. You, planned domestication, Kraithval said. Ethan shrugged. Why wouldn't I? The examiner's crystalline form shifted, an expression unfamiliar to most species. This academy measures adaptability, Kraithval said slowly. Yet humans redefine it. He recorded a final note. Human survival methodology does not prioritize endurance. It prioritizes continuity. By the next cycle, the assessment results had spread through the academy. Cadet Ethan Hale received the highest score ever recorded, not for resilience, but for infrastructure development. Instructors gathered privately. If one human does this, an analyst asked, what happens when more arrive? Kraithval watched a replay of Zone 61, the smoke curling gently into the cold morning air. They will not merely occupy environments, he said. They will transform them. Later, Ethan stood at the transport terminal, waiting for clearance. His communicator chimed. A message from home. Proud of you. Grandpa would have liked that fireplace. Ethan smiled. Across the galaxy, Academy protocols were quietly revised. New classification added. Human survival profile. Does not seek shelter. Seek settlement. Worlds once deemed temporary were reassessed. Because humans did not measure success by sunrise. They measured it by roots. And wherever humanity was sent to endure, they stayed.